guys, what's up? Super excited that you're here again. Before we even start talking today, I just want to take a moment and look you in your eyeballs and say thank you so much for listening to our last episode. I can't tell you how much it means to me. I've gotten so many messages just saying so many encouraging things, not even like boosting my head up about the podcast, but just saying thank you for being vulnerable and just encouraging my heart. And I just want to say thank you so much. It means a ton to me, and it's just so special when you feel like God has given you a dream and you're a little bit scared of it and you step out in like obedience and faith and hoping that you're doing the right thing. And then when you do that, just to get so many encouraging and loving and kind messages, I can't tell you how much it means to me. It's just such a sweet gift, like a God wink when that happens. So thank you. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that you're here again and that you're on this journey with us, whatever this podcast may look like. I'm just glad you're here, and I'm thankful that we get to do it together. Anyways, enough sappiness for that. I'm excited to talk to you guys today. If you can't tell by the background, we are in a different place. We're actually at the farm. We're at the Young Farms in Arkansas, the natural state. We made a trip down here this weekend to hang out with family and just chill for a little bit. Actually, Easton is going deer hunting with my dad tomorrow. So, little quick story. He went deer hunting, what was that, 2 years ago? With Dad. He literally sat on the stand for maybe 45 minutes. It was not even cold that morning. It was not raining. It was nothing. He didn't have to go through any of the initiation of like a first-time deer hunter. And he killed an 8-point within 45 minutes. It was so annoying, but I'm hoping that this year that he gets another big deer. He thinks he's going to get a 10-point this year. We'll see. I'm just kidding. But he didn't have to go through any of that. My first time deer hunting, I sat in that stand for like 4 or 5 hours with my dad, and the only snack he brought was a water bottle and like a pack of great value cheese crackers. But Easton got this like nice experience, but whatever. Glad for him. Anyways, needless to say, that's why we're here this weekend, so Easton can go deer hunting with Dad. So if you hear a dog bark or if you hear a cow moo or something, it's because I'm on the farm. Welcome to the farm life. But anyways, super excited to talk today because this is something that has kind of been on my heart for a little bit and something that I've just noticed throughout the world and just how we're living today. I just kind of want to talk to the person who feels isolated and alone. I don't know if any of you have ever felt alone in your entire life before, but I kind of mentioned that in the podcast last week, is that is a big part of my testimony. Is the devil did a really good job at making me feel isolated, making me feel like I was the only person that was struggling with the things that I struggled with, that was feeling the way that I was feeling. I was the only person that felt alone. It was like he did a really good job at like pushing me back in this corner that was dark, and I felt like nobody could see the corner, and it was just me sitting there all alone, and I had nobody who actually cared about me. So if there's a person out there today who feels isolated or who feels alone, I just want to speak directly to you. And maybe if you've never felt that way before, I promise there's going to be a time in your life where you do feel that way. And so I just want to talk kind of what helped my heart and what I just think the Lord tells us through Scripture and how we can kind of combat that. We were talking this past Wednesday at youth. We had a panel, and we kind of got on the topic of like isolation and being alone. And it was me and Mick, I think. And I said the line of like, the enemy really gets a hold of us when we isolate ourselves, because he knows that there is power when you surround yourself with a good group of people, with a good community who believe the same as you, who are like-minded, who are encouraging, who uplift you, who cheer you on. He knows when you get around those people that's when you can start to like kind of attack the lies that he's putting in your head. And that's where you like, it's so much easier to fight the enemy when you are in a group of people who are speaking to the things that he's saying to you when you can't speak to them yourself. But when you're alone, it's a little bit harder because sometimes the enemy kind of tries to beat you up a little bit. And you're like, dude, what are you doing? But when you have people surrounding you, it's just so much better. It's better. It's easier to fight because you have all these swords surrounding you instead of just yourself fighting alone. But yeah, anyways, we were talking about that on Wednesday and how the devil likes to isolate you because when he isolates you, his voice gets really loud. And I talked last time a little bit about the devil always starts out as like a little whisper in my ear. It's like I have like a little person stuck inside my head, and it's not even like a loud booming like, Brady, you're an idiot. It's just like this soft whisper that's like, are you sure that you actually believe in yourself? Like even when I sat down to record today, I thought it would be so much easier to start talking than the first episode. But as soon as I sat down, like I got this voice in my head that was like, why are you doing this? This is stupid. Why do you think that you should speak? But I'm like, no, stop. Like, speak to the enemy when he starts to speak to you. When these things start getting loud in your head, don't cower down and don't be afraid to like speak back to what you're hearing. And I wanted to read a verse in the Bible. It's a Psalms. Let me get to it. It's in Psalms 56 and verse number 8. It says, you've kept track of every toss and turn. Through the sleepless nights, every tear entered in your ledger, every ache written in your book. And I just think it's so powerful because it's telling us that God has kept track of every toss and turn we've ever felt in our whole entire life. When the enemy isolates you, he makes you want to feel like even God is not there, right? That even Jesus could not be listening to the things that you're saying, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. So wherever you're at today, whether you feel like you're alone in this new business that you're building, or you feel alone and you are in high school and you feel like you're the only person who is even trying to make a difference or who is even trying to live different, or if you feel alone in your family. I know going into the holidays, it can be kind of crazy and it can be kind of a busy and chaotic time, but it's also really easy in the holidays to feel alone because this is when you get around, I don't know. I just feel like I need to talk about that. I don't know. Sometimes the holidays can be really hard because you get around these people that maybe you only see like once or twice a year, and you're like, I'm surrounded in a room of people, but I've never felt more alone because maybe these people don't believe the same as me, or these people just get together and talk negative, or these people don't actually care about me, or whatever it is. But it says right here that God keeps track of every toss and turn. And so when you feel that way, just know that you're actually not alone. Even when you are in a room full of people and you feel so isolated and you feel so by yourself and you feel so lonely, you're not by yourself. God is beside you. He's with you. Something I tell, or something I pray over our youth kids is like, I pray that you know that God goes before you in every single room. So whether you're going into your corporate office, whether you're going into your family's house at Christmas, whether you're going into a coffee shop to do homework, wherever it is, a classroom, whatever it looks like for you, the Lord goes before you and he sets a place for you so you don't have to be alone. A lot of the times, when you feel like you're in this season of life where things are just not going your way, you feel like every corner you turn, you're just getting beat up, or you're getting pushed around, or you feel like nobody's listening to you, nobody's taking into account how you feel, or you feel unseen, whatever it is. A lot of times, the devil's really loud and he'll like get in our minds and he'll make us believe that the Lord is not listening to our prayers, that he doesn't hear our prayers. You feel like you cry out to God every night, God, just help me, like help my heart, help my mind, grow me, show me, like, but you feel like he's not listening to you. There's another Psalms. Psalms is a good book, y'all. Go read them. They're good little things to put in your pocket and to remember. Psalms 116:2, and it says, because he turned his ear to me, I will call on him as long as I live. And that just encourages my heart so much to know that like, when I start to speak, when I start to pray and say things out loud, the Lord kneels down and he like points his ear directly down to me so he can hear me better. And that's truth. Like that's in the Bible, that's biblical. So don't ever let the enemy make you feel like you're just speaking empty words out to no one who's listening. Because every time you start to pray, every time you start to cry or say gratitude or give thanks or sing or worship or just talk to God, it says he turns his ear to you. So every time you go to pray, God is listening. Whether you think nobody else is listening to you, I promise that there is a God in heaven who hears your prayers, who is moving, and he plays chess. He doesn't like do things left and right super fast all the time the way that we want it in our timing, right? But he plays chess, and chess is a very strategic game. And sometimes when you're playing chess, you're sitting there for hours, right? It's not a game that you just play and you're done in like 15 minutes. You're sitting down and you are strategically looking at how you can attack your opponent and how you can beat them. And so that's what the Lord does. He sits down with you and he says, okay, let's strategically look at your life and let's look at this plan I have for you, and let's make moves that may take longer than like just fixing it right away or just slapping a Band-Aid over a wound that is years and years old. But let's get around it and let's make moves so in the end you are fully healed. Your full prayer has been answered in a way that you didn't even think could be possible. Like better than you could ask, better than you could think, better than you can imagine. Because the devil gets in our head. He makes us think that we're alone and that God doesn't hear our prayers and that it's just this, we're just isolated. Like, that's where I feel like there is the most disunity among Christians, among non-believers, among America, people everywhere. Like the whole world feels so isolated. And where there is isolation, that is where disunity can creep in the loudest. Because when you're alone, for example, let's say like me and one of my friends get in an argument. We don't agree or we like fight over something. I don't know, whatever. You fill in the blank, right? And instead of like doing the biblical thing and going and grabbing my friend and talking about it right away, I am like, you know what? I'm not going to talk to her. And so I go to my room, I sit and I just let my mind go and think and build all these scenarios and all these like, I bet she's thinking this. Oh my gosh. And I just build up these lies in my head and then pair that with the enemy's voice of like, yeah, she probably is thinking that. You're so alone. Like, I bet she did say that. And like, when I'm alone in my room, I can't speak truth to those lies because my friend is not there to say, hey, I didn't say that. I'm isolating myself and I'm putting myself in a hole. And then my brain is able to turn on even louder and be like, you know what? That's right. They did say that. That is true. You should never talk to them again. And then there starts to create this big gap of like disunity where it's like now every time I see the friend I'm fighting with, I'm like, I can't even look at you right now. Like I can't handle this. I can't do this. And then it just grows and it grows. And then these feelings that you're feeling start to take root in your heart. And now you're looking at that person differently. And now everything that they're saying sounds in a different tone. And now every remark they make, you're like, that's so sarcastic, or you're like, that's so prideful of them. And now we're not even like looking inward at ourselves anymore. Now we're looking outward and we're only judging what they say and we're only taking everything that they say verbatim. And we're like, this, I can't believe they would do that. But it's because we've created so much space between me and that person. Like I'm not doing the biblical thing and I'm not actually going to them and saying, hey, what you said really hurt my feelings. And I don't want to believe that that's true, but can you just help pair some truth with that? That will solve so many issues. That will help us not be so disunified as a church, as believers, as the world. Like it will just help so much if we're not afraid to, in that moment, just have a hard conversation and say, hey, I need to grab you real quick. Because what my default, what I want to do right now is go and hide in a corner and go and isolate myself and not actually attack the truth or like actually attack the lie with truth, and like know what's true and know who you are. Because the truth is, you know who that person is. You know their heart, you know their intentions, but you're letting this thought of, let me just go sit alone and just simmer on it. You're letting that be louder than what you know is to be true and what you know is to be right and what you know you need to do. Because it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy to not isolate yourself. Like nowadays, I just feel like it's so easy to just be like, well, I just need a day to myself. I'm all about like taking a mental health day. Take a day, chill out, let your brain calm down. Like I get that. Recharge, whatever you need to do. When your first instinct is to isolate yourself, and to just be like, you know what? I'm going to go sit at home because I can't stand to be around these people right now. Instead of actually just going and just being your raw, vulnerable, and authentic self and just being like, I'm going to put myself in a space where I'm uncomfortable. Like I'm going to sit here and just feel uncomfortable for a second because that's not what the enemy wants you to do. He wants you to isolate yourself. He wants you to just let those thoughts grow and grow and grow and not pair them with truth. But right here, God keeps track of every toss and turn of us. God is with us every time. All you have to do is say, hey, God, can you help me? Like, can you help my heart right now? Because all I want to do is go sit alone and just simmer. Because that's easy. And honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, it feels good sometimes. Like 95% of the time, it feels good to just sit and isolate yourself and think things that aren't true and create these false narratives and scenarios about people when really you just have like a little root of ouchiness, bitterness in your heart. But don't do that, guys. Don't do that. Like, please don't do that. That is 100% something that I am even trying to figure out how to do right now. When I get frustrated or angry or upset or somebody says a comment and I'm like, whoa, that did not sit well with me. My bradiness wants to go sit with it and I want to like process it. And like when you're in the shower and you're thinking of like how every scenario is going to play out, all I want to do is go sit and go through every single scenario and how they could answer and what that's going to look like. And what would I say if they said this or what would I do if they said this? But like, don't isolate yourself. Don't put yourself in a corner. Don't back up. Like, go be around community, go be around people and be like, help me, help my heart understand that this is truth. That the things and the noises and the whispers in my head, those are not truth. That is from the enemy. And all he wants me to do is back myself up in a corner and be like, you know what? This is too hard. This sucks. I hate this. I can't do this. Because when he can get you alone, that's when he can get your brain thinking all kind of wild things. Like, don't isolate yourself. Like if you leave with one thing today, just don't isolate yourself and know that you're not alone. Know that there is a God in heaven who hears and sees everything that you're going through. There's a verse in Hebrew that I have been saying over and over and over again. I want to find it right now because I don't want to say it wrong. So I'm back, y'all. There's a verse in Hebrews that I've like been holding on to so closely. I feel like I've kind of gone all over the place. Whatever. There's a verse in Hebrews that I've been holding on to for dear life and like just speaking over myself in the morning when I feel like I want to isolate, when I feel lonely, when I feel unseen. A big attack on my life right now. Like this is me being so vulnerable and well, I shouldn't say so vulnerable because I would say this anyways, but whatever. Me being vulnerable, a big attack on my life right now is I get these feelings of like nobody sees me, like nobody cares. What you're doing doesn't matter. Now, I know that's not true, and I'm not looking for you to tell me like, Brady, that's a lie. Like, I know, but it's like a thing in my head right now that the enemy's trying to like, Brady, you are so silly. Nobody sees you. Nobody sees what you're doing. This podcast, it's an attack that I believe he just wants to like steal my voice and make me feel like the things I have to say don't matter. I know that's not true because Jesus is good, but I say all that to say in Hebrews chapter 6. It says, now that we know what we have, Jesus, this great high priest with ready access to God, let's not let it slip through our fingers. We don't have a priest who is out of touch with our reality. So good. He's been through weakness and testing, experienced it all but the sin. So let's walk right up to him and get what he is so ready to give. Take the mercy, accept the help. We serve a God who is so in touch with our reality, it's unreal. Like, I know you think you're the only person that feels that way. I know you think you're alone. I know you think that nobody cares, but you serve a God who actually cares, who is able to empathize and understand all of the feelings you have. Jesus, when he came down here on earth, he was fully man and fully God. That means he experienced the same things that we do. The only difference in us and Jesus is that he was perfect and he never gave in to sin. But that doesn't mean he didn't never feel alone. That doesn't mean he never felt isolated. That doesn't mean he never felt like, God, do you see me down here? I'm like, do you think Jesus walking to the cross had a thought in his mind that was like, hey, I'm down here. Do you see me, God? Do you see what I'm doing? Like, we serve a God who understands our feelings, who meets us where we're at. But a lot of times it's the last part of this verse that we don't actually apply. So we understand that God feels the same way, but we're not willing to take the mercy and we're not willing to accept the help because we feel like our feelings are silly and invalid, but that's not true. Your feelings are valid. They're not true. Not all feelings are true all the time. This is the truth. Like, the only truth is what's in here. And it's up to us to actually take the help and accept the help from God. Like, we can sit in our feelings all day, but if we never go, God, I know you know exactly how I'm feeling, but can you just help my heart to understand that you actually care? Can you actually give me steps to help? Like, I want to be better. I want to be all that you've called me to be, but it's up to you and me to accept that help from God. He is always sitting there like this, ready to hold it out to us, but we have to take it. We have to accept the help. We have to accept the mercy. That is our action step. We have to accept the help. So to the person out there who feels alone, who feels isolated, who feels unseen, look at me in the eyeballs. You're not alone. You're not unseen. God sees you. People see you. You're so valuable. What you're doing is so important for the kingdom. You may feel like that you are doing the most insignificant thing, but that is so, so false. Because it also says in the Bible that we're all a part of the body of Christ, that we're hands and feet and toes and fingers. And what would it be like if there was some toes over here and some fingers over here, but they weren't working together, right? You need toes and you need fingers. It sounds silly, but it's so true. Like, what you're doing for the kingdom is so valuable. Whether you're building a brand new business and you're in the secular workplace, you are valuable and you are needed for what God wants to do in his kingdom. Maybe you're teaching a Sunday school class at a church that runs 100 people and you only have 2 kids that come to Sunday school. Can I tell you? Keep teaching that Sunday school class. What you're doing is so valuable. You are building up the next generation of people. Whether you're a youth pastor at a youth group where you feel like the kids are just not listening, can I tell you? They need your voice. They need your consistency. And in 15, 20 years, your voice is going to be what's ringing in their ears. The truth that you spoke over them, the prayers that you prayed over them, even when they didn't believe it and only you did. If you're a school teacher and your kids are crazy right now, what you're doing matters. It matters for the kingdom. You might be the only light, the only smile, the only joy that those kids ever see. It matters what you're doing. Can you give me more? If you're the only kid on the baseball, softball, cheerleading, soccer, football, all of the sports, if you're the only kid on your sports team that even loves Jesus, you are making such a big difference. If you feel like you're questioning God right now and you're like, God, how could you possibly be in my story right now? I promise you he's there. And the work that you're doing, the questions that you're asking, the time that you're wrestling with the Lord, it matters. It's valuable because you never know what's going to come on the other side of your story. You never know the freedom and the help that you're going to be able to bring to someone else who's going through the exact same things as you. Whatever it is, you fill in the blank. You are seen. You're not alone. There's a God who keeps track of every single toss and turn, every sleepless night. He sees it all. He's with you. And my prayer is that you understand that he goes before you in every single room and in every single situation. I love you guys so much. I'm so glad we got to sit down and talk. If you need to talk, text me, DM me, reach out. Like, I would love to be a source of encouragement to you because I'm telling you, if the devil can get you alone, that's where he can get in your mind and that's where he thinks he can win. And that could not be further from the truth. I love you guys. Hope you guys have a great day.